As a disclaimer, Monster Fuckers Anonymous is indeed about wanting to love and have sex with monsters, but we want to make things extremely clear from the get-go. The monsters we will be selecting will be sentient and able to consent. Not all of the chosen monsters will be sapient, but we will not be endorsing zoophilia or bestiality. Anthropologically, monsters all around the world, and media representations of them, have had many racial and sociological implications. We will be as transparent and ethical as possible, while also sex positive and mostly having fun.
Monsters. Creatures feared all around the world in folklore and myths. Terrifying beings such as the fiendish and frightening fae, demonic devils, sultry sirens, hazardous harpies, and countless chaotic creatures coming from crevices of every continent. As long as stories have existed, there's been one pressing question that has remained unanswered by scholars for generations. One powerful thought that has plagued our minds for millennia. Can we fuck these monsters? That is what we're here to find out today. Welcome to Monster Fuckers Anonymous.
Hello, one and all, to another fantastic, wonderful, excellent, amazing, stupendous, spectacular episode of MFA, aka Monster Fuckers Anonymous, a show where we talk about monsters and we give them numerical values for how well you should have sex with them. I, as always, am your creative creature consultant cleric, here to make weird scenarios and get bullied on the internet. And with me, as always, my co-host, the wind beneath my wings, my main bullier, the one I talk to my therapist about almost daily, is our technical analyst, Joe.
You go to therapy every day?
I have many issues.
How much money do you have? What's your insurance like?
My insurance is 1-800, it's totally real, and my therapist is actually every Discord call I jump into.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, you guys know the name of the game of the show, which is MFA. A little bit of business as we always start off these episodes. You know how MFA works. We talk about monsters, we give them scales, and then we see either if me or Joe win every day. And it really does put a strain on our friendship, this show. Every time. But some front of house stuff, you can find MFA on a whole bunch of new platforms, including Podchaser, where there's now reviews available, and we'd really like to see some written reviews for the show. That way we know if we're doing good, what you would like to see in the future, and also just make us feel good. And if there's some really good reviews, we might read them off on the show. Two is that we have a Ko-fi that will really help support the show. It's how we pay editors, it's how we pay Ribby, our artist, Kez, our editor, and if you do donate, there are rewards, there are milestones. Yeah, if we reach certain milestones, we're going to do certain things, like a drunk episode, maybe doing live streams, maybe play some dating sims on stream. A lot of things to do, so please check us out at Ko-fi at Monster Lover Pod. So, with that out of the way, that was a real quick spiel. I got that real out of here, so we can just jump into the episode. I'm so good. But Joe, do you want to let the people know what we're talking about today?
Have you ever wanted to fuck your TV? Have you ever wanted to stick your dick in a PlayStation 5? Have you ever looked at one of those? Does anyone remember Donbrew or Galbrew or ZeroChan.net, where there would be personifications of plugs and outlets, and they would be fucking each other? We're talking about robots.
What the fuck was that? What the actual fuck was that? Genuinely, you know what? This episode might be too much for just me. This episode you've already started off on an energy. It might be too much for me. We might have to cancel it unless we have holy shit, wait a second. Is it a Terminator 2 style entrance where something, a giant crater in a portal has opened up in front of me? Who is emerging? Is that artist extraordinaire, Sore Bunny?
Tiny penis?
I'm accepting it really big, and I'm holding really big guns.
Kez, during that entire time, I want sci-fi music playing intensely.
You're like a 2-inch tall rabbit.
What the fuck?
Yes, for today's episode on robots, we have our friend Soren here to join us to talk all things mechanical, AI, and robotic.
Hey, hello. My name is Soren, and I've been a fan of the podcast since it started up. My Twitter is at SoreBunny, like Pokemon Score Bunny without the C. And I dabble in a lot of hobbies such as art, music, and streaming. And also, I like robots. I think they're neat, so I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad. When you suggested a robot episode, I think we were all very excited to talk about robots. Actually, I'll say that. I was excited to talk about robots. Joe was like,
Okay, the thing is that I really like other people's robot OCs, but like I can't just bring up just like some person's robot OC. Like imagine if I came with about my robot OC with all the stuff that I decided would be good.
Hey, here's my toaster. It's my favorite robot. I like, kiss it every day. It's so cute. I drew a little
how
smiley
did you
face
know
on it.
my robot's the littlest toaster? Littlest robot.
Hey, everybody, actually, one of the first monsters that we're rating today is the littlest toaster.
Anyway.
As you guys know how the show works, I bring a monster, Joe brings a monster, and now that we have a guest, our guest will bring a monster. So it'll be 3 monsters that we talk about. We're going to see which one of us brought the best to the table, and we're just going to have a real good horny time. You guys ready to jump in?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, my cleric win arc is still going on, so let's see if I bring another win to the table, because I'm bringing one of my favorite game series of all time, one of my top 3, and that is in Mass Effect, the artificial intelligent Geth. The Geth are a race of networked artificial intelligence that reside beyond the Perseus Veil. They were created by the Quarians as laborers on tools of war. Eventually, the Geth became sentient and questioned their masters, which prompted the Quarians to try and eliminate their creation. The resulting war led to the Geth's freedom and the Quarians' exile. The Geth now serve as an example to the galaxy of the dangers or potential of artificial intelligence. I just think they're neat. I just think they're real neat. So, with the Geth, it's a very interesting thing with them, is that they're less robot-body. They have robot bodies. Their bodies are completely synthetic. But their bodies are more just like mobile units, and they'll tell you that in game. They're like just mobile units that house the collective intelligence of the Geth. Like the Geth technically have no individuality. They don't believe in individuality. Kind of like each Geth is an individual artificial intelligence that is linked to the greater artificial intelligence, which is like this big, massive thing. So they're technically all make a collective decision. So technically, every time you have sex with it, it's a gangbang.
Why did you say that? Why did you have to end it with that?
Well, because, it's
So you not only have the robotic sort of fantasy, you also have the hive mind sort of thing.
Yeah, that's actually the best way to put it. It's a hive mind situation.
Mm.
And so there's swarm. I saw someone describe it on a wiki. It's like a swarm intelligence. So if you meet a Geth, it's like a swarm of them are what finds you hot. So that swarm will be a swarm, which could be a cluster of 400 of them, or be like, "Damn, mama, you look good," and then try to smack me on the ass.
Okay.
While the collective rest of them are like, "That's disgusting, heretic."
It's looking like so they do not value individuality. Obviously, they are a collective as a group.
No.
They cannot lie.
They cannot lie.
They cannot manipulate either.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing is that there's no such thing as privacy.
No.
With the Geth.
They will look at you while pooping.
They're a cat. They're yeah.
I mean, they'll protect you. They're loyal. What's there to lose?
Exactly. And sure, you probably have to sell them and why you're valuable to them. But at any point, as long as you can sell it.
As long as you can sell it.
Well, no, as long as you can, because I will bring up the downside of the Geth. Like you said, they cannot lie, and they're also not individualistic, which means you have to, in a point of the game, which I think is interesting to bring up in a sexy scenario, is they have to come to a decision, and it has to be majority rules. How I picture it is if you got into an argument with your Geth lover, which is just hey, blah, 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 I want to eat this, I want to eat pineapple on pizza, and they're that's the most ineffective way to eat pizza. You should get it with a fork and knife and stuff it in your mouth. And well, I think we should get this. Well, all 1,000 of me say you're wrong. So majority rules, I win.
So they can disagree with each other, though.
Yes, they technically are. They have all their information, and each processes that information differently and brings that argument to the majority. And thus the majority then decides. And then once that majority is taken, they all agree instantaneously if that's the best course of action.
Are you bringing the Geth to us as an individual Geth or like a group of them? I mean, obviously, they're like all hive-minded together.
Again, I think this is... Allow me to paint a more... I think I've described them in general, and I think I'll go more into just the sexiness of what they bring to the table if they were a lover. And I think I stated it earlier, to Soren's dismay. This is a gangbang option with... No, this is...
So, Soren, how do we feel about gangbang?
I mean...
You don't gotta answer.
As a polyamorous individual, I'm not against it entirely.
Definitely not against.
I think this is actually a good point for polyamory, because it's not... You're not getting one person, you're getting the entire collective of the Geth consciousness. So this would be like a polyamorous... This is like I would say you're getting with an entire society with different mobile unit boasts. So say you wear out your one unit, another one just comes in and is like, I'm good to go. And if by wear out, I mean you ride it so well it breaks.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
They don't feel pain though.
No, they don't. No, the reason I was so hesitant is because they're one of the main enemies of the game, and I think Geth describes Legion, the one Geth, explains that they don't really die. They just hop from mobile unit to mobile unit, but eventually they do kind of just like... Some of them are just like, I think it's my time, and they like dissipate into the great consciousness.
What a blessing.
What a blessing.
We all...
Just to be like, hey, yo, peace out.
Yeah. So this is a situation where you could be almost eternally protected, eternally gangbanged, and eternally like you're not really gonna have to worry about this person dying necessarily in the same way of like loving a vampire or something.
Yes, but also they have like these it's basically they're all housed in a giant fucking supercomputer. And they have different supercomputer nodes. You break the supercomputer nodes, they lose processing power. And if that supercomputer node ever like shuts off completely, they technically shut off. Like
everybody
completely.
Needs a weakness. It's all good.
But yeah, I think this would be, again, I'll bring up another downside. They're very logical. So there won't be very much emotions involved in this. It's more like, I logically think we should bang. And then like once the interaction is done, it's like I've gotten what you need, you've gotten what we need, we move on, and you drift away. It immediately leaves. No questions. It would be like a one-night stand. I think it'd be the most efficient one-night stand. Because they'd knock on your door, we've done the research, here is a flower, here is chocolate, would you like to perform coitus? And you're like, yeah, okay. Take them to the bed. They jackhammer it home.
This is so unattractive.
They do what you need to. They do the logical steps to get you off, and then they're like, "We've done it." And you're like, "Okay, do you want to stay at cuddles?" Like, is that what you like? No. It's like I've done what we need, and then just walk out.
Okay, so sorry. Let's go to your robot.
I mean, in the worst sense, that's what they be. They do in the games. Spoilers for the games, but the game's been out since like 2008. Grow up. Is that in the third game, you can give them individual. There's an option where you can give them individual personalities where they no longer are tied to the collectivist soul. They each can have their own individual personality. And then B, there's another option further into the game where you can meld all of the galaxy as synthetic and organic. So then you can actually officially bang them because everything is synthetic and everything is organic. So you forcibly rewrite everyone's DNA in the entire galaxy.
Which sounds invasive.
It is.
Sure.
It is. Now here's the thing. It is. There are no good options at the end of that game. I love the series. It's no good options. Also,
are there good options in this scenario? Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I mean, they're hot. They're slick. Their armor, it has this like kind of like
they're
vibe.
Slick.
They're slick. They're slick. They're sleek. They're like they look cool. Okay, they just look cool.
They do look cool. I'm very for them. I think the concept of like a hive mind lover sounds very... I think it'd be really interesting. I can't imagine it getting old very fast.
I was thinking about like in The Good Place how it's like when you go up to the good place, the higher ups, they are like a collective hive mind, and they can't like make decisions, or they don't really have that individuality to distinguish which decision is better than the other. So I'm kind of getting that vibe here too, and I don't know if I could deal with that in like a long-term relationship with the Geth,
That I think that's actually a good example of it. You're either going to have where the entire collective or a chunk of the collective is with you and want to do everything with you, or I think it's the other part where it's like we've done the efficiency. Like I have done the recommended cuddle time now, and I move on. We move on.
We're done.
We move on. We are done. We will see you again at the recommended cuddle time next week.
This is very much a multi-purpose sort of android lover. Like, I'm thinking of like what Detroit Become Human could have been like a legitimately interesting perspective on like a quote-unquote all-purpose android. What else am I thinking? I'm also thinking of like Starstruck Odyssey with Sydney's character, like what she was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, certainly there would be a couple issues, if not only...
Actually, with Starstruck Odyssey, I'll say probably not Sydney, but Gnosis. I won't get into more spoilers than that, but Gnosis is definitely more Geth than Sydney.
For sure.
So it'd be like banging the infinite.
Banging the infinite. That's a very interesting concept. Yeah.
Possibility.
I mean, yeah, like, what else is there really to say? These people will protect you. If you're in, like, a higher position sort of thing, and, like, you're, like, this sort of conversation of the problem of the power dynamic wouldn't really be relevant, because there's just so many of them that have had more experience than you in your life, even if you are considered a higher up, and you can have this, like, kind of cool moment where, like, you are beginning to foster the personality of a single guest, but you don't necessarily, like, take them away from their hive mind, but you also get them to, like, think for themselves a little, and then you have sex with them. And then you might have this cool mind link situation with the other.
Yeah, there actually is a case.
Cool.
There is a case where you can mind link with them. That was like a very rare incident. It was also in the game. But so there could be possible where you go into the mind of where it is, and they try, and you could have like mind sex with an entire artificial intelligence. The problem is it also doesn't have a dick or like genitals at all.
You don't need a dick.
That ain't no problem.
That ain't no problem.
You know, you can make your own, and I think that's the moral of the show. Really, is you don't need a dick, you don't need balls, you don't need a vagina, you don't need any of that shit. You just need your heart, and at least
you just need your mind. And your mind penis, and you link with the 400 other.
Listen, we love mind penises here. Make sure your mind dog is big. Not your physical dog may not be big, but your mind dog better be. Mind dogs transcend gender, transcend everything, transcend all that. As long as you got a mind dog, I don't mind dog.
And speaking of mind dog, possibility.
2.
What?
It's not very possible. First, it's not very possible. Soren, I want you to know, Soren is like covering their mouth, just like, no, in shock. Because, okay, with 2, here's how I'll explain it. 1, the place that they're located is very far away, like in the galaxy. If, say, we were in the Mass Effect world, they are in one of the farthest galaxies away. 2, the Geth don't venture out of their galaxy. It's one of their main things. They stay in the galaxy that they're supposed to be in. 3, even if you get into that galaxy, the homeworld that they're on is technically toxic.
So 2.
They're so far away. They also have no interest in sex. It's only logic. There's no way to get to them. There's that.
Well, I mean, like, when you put it like that, it just makes it seem like they're harder to obtain their affection, I guess.
There's, like, thousands of them, though.
Yeah.
Could they not be on, like, other planets?
They don't have they have no desire to venture outside. Some units do venture out to gather more technology, but it's very rare that they do that. Majority of the units stay in galaxy. So
if you're like a spacefarer, basically, is where
you're
going to potentially get this type of thing. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a 2 for me.
That's fine.
It's like a 3.5 situation.
We doing points now?
We've been doing points.
We've been doing points? Who told me this? When was this in
Good.
the memo?
You gave Gratz, again, I mentioned you giving Gratz a 9.5 in possibility.
Oh, fuck, I forgot that.
Which is crazy, by the way. Anyway.
Listen, we don't gotta revisit. We can revisit that at the wrap-up episode.
Yeah, I would say like a 3 as well. Because like there are a lot of them. I think on like the by chance that you do see them and there might be a spark, but yeah, it'd be kind of hard to obtain.
Okay. I think 2, 3s all across the board. Pretty solid. Attractiveness based on their personality and their appearance, 8. There's like the I love the design of the Geth. The Geth are so coolly designed. Like one of the coolest
very
robots.
cool looking.
They got like the hood face with like the 3 little nodes on the top, and like all for some reason the Geth all get abs. The Geth designed their bodies with abs, and like also an hourglass figure. It blows my mind that they're like, I want to be cheeked up. Every Geth has to be cheeked up.
They knew what they were doing.
They knew what they were doing.
They looked at their fucking masters and were just like, actually,
I mean, all Quarians are cheeked up, so I guess they did take some.
Like that.
Yeah, they were like, oh, I want to get cheeked up. So yeah, 8. They're all the only 2 points I'm knocking off why this isn't a 10 is because of their like collective like intelligence based personality. That's about it.
I think I've given a very irregular scale of 8 to a good amount of monsters, so I agree with you, Cleric. I do think that they're very sexy. I will probably have to give them a 7 in this case.
Oh wow, you've done such a big jump for you. It's a big jump for you.
I was also gonna say 7 because I do agree their design is very good, but that bright light, if it like shines in your face while you're doing the do, then it's like you're blinded. It's gonna hurt.
You don't find having a flashlight shoved right directly in your eyes while you're having sex is hot?
What do you think? Oh, ow, ow, ow.
Ow, ow. Joe just found a flashlight in all of our eyes.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and you're right. You know, maybe I don't. I don't find that hot. That immediately was a boner killer. Dickless. Goes to audacity. How audacious it is to be with this monster. I'm gonna give it...
It's not that audacious.
What do you mean by that? Break it down. Why do you think it's not that audacious?
Again, there's so many of them. I don't find it that audacious to go after a hive mind. I mean, I guess it is sort of audacious in the way that, like, if the hive mind disagrees about you, that's, like, going to be a very intense conversation to have. One-sided, your side. But, like, again, even though they're not as accessible as, you know, whatever, lots of other shit, if you're a spacefarer, in this case, perhaps we are all... it's Soren, Cleric, and I are all Shepherd. It's just the 3 of us.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, I feel like, I don't know, like, it's not like they are going out of their way to hurt you, or if you and them are already in situations where you are fighting together. I don't know. They're just dudes.
They're just dudes.
They're just dudes being dudes that are actually made of a collective artificial intelligence that also beat the shit out of an entire species.
It's not a big deal.
4.
Oh, I was gonna give it a 5.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go 6.
Okay.
It's not the...
Parental approval, whether our Christian immigrant parents would approve. I think for... This is a category that's been hotly contested with our audience a little bit, but also I think is very important. Parental approval, I think we could rework for if our parents were in the universe that we're in. Like for this one, it would be Mass Effect. In the Mass Effect universe, I still don't think my parents would approve of me coming home with a Quarian.
Absolutely not.
With a Geth. It is a robot, the collective intelligence, and also, again, this perception of Geth of the galaxy they are a plague that needs to be eliminated. So I think my parents, if they saw that, would kick me out of the home. Choke me out, yeah. They'd choke me out. My dad would see me, open the door, see 3 flashlights in its face, and just take me and hold me up by my neck like as if I was a tiny child and just like, jingle me.
Jingle? Okay.
Jingle, jingle my bells.
Okay. It's very strange.
So
So what's your score?
I forgot to give a number. 2. Just do it 2.
Oh shit, that's intense. Yeah, I don't know. If my space parents were space Christian and space immigrants, again, if they're viewed as a plague, quote unquote, they're kind of also like servant robots. So my parents would be like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, this is a sex toy. You brought home a walking sex toy," and I'd be like, "I love him." Yeah, I don't know. I think it has
pulses.
I love it. I think it's not necessarily a 2. It's like I think it would be a 3 though. Like it's not. It would definitely be on the lower side of the like yes maybe no situation.
I feel like my space parents would be space racist, and
Yeah,
because like you said that they're like oppressed and they are kind of like looked down upon generally. So I would also give it a 2.
Yeah, space racism. Well, with that, we got our our
we're
scores.
ending with that.
I mean, where else can I go with the space racism bit? It's. Can we stop bringing? Here's a clear plea. Please, any game developers, any future TTRPG people, stop bringing racism into your fantasy worlds. Please, it's annoying. It's dumb. It needs to stop. Please, I'm getting desperate. I'm on my knees. I'm begging.
And while Cleric's on his knees, let's pause for bath.
So, for our overall scores for the Geth, I got a 4.0. Joe, what did you get?
I got a 4.9, bitch.
Okay, and Soren, what did you get?
I got a 4.3, whore.
What the fuck is this energy here? We were gone for 2 minutes. For all our scores ended up, we get an overall score of a 4.4. Which
4.4.
Which, you know, it's a little bit below average, but still not our worst ranked monster yet. So
Not the worst.
No.
Our worst is 2.9.
What was our worst monster again?
Baphomet.
Where it belongs. Where he belongs. But with that, I think that we're done with the what alliteration should I do?
The not gonorrhea. I'm sorry.
The gonorrhea Geth. All right, Joe. No, that's the one Joe wants to go with. So that's the one we're going. The gonorrhea Geth. We're done with them. Soren, now we're done with the gonorrhea Geth. Thanks to Joe. Do you want to introduce the robot you've brought to the table here today?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, who you got?
I got KO from Valorant.
Loser.
What? Anyways. A robot from an alternate future, KO was created by the humans of that time to fight back against the Radiants that they were at war with. Using the power of polarized Radianite, KO proved effective with his ability to suppress enemy abilities, crippling his opponent's capacity to fight back, and securing him and his allies the ultimate edge. His most notable visual trait is his faceplate that displays different images based on his emotions and the situation. While he is mostly made of metal, parts of his body have electricity and energy visible. Though he is a robot, KO is not particularly devoid of human emotion. He has been known to make quips and sarcastic remarks while charging into battle, showing that he is more than just his program as a killing machine.
I'm gonna
He's
suck
so
this
hot.
robot's fucking
He's so
dick.
hot.
Oh my
He's
god,
so
you both
hot.
collectively, I want you to know, for our listeners, I want to know how it imagines it was Soren in my left, Joe in my right, just both being like, so hot, it's like my But you're right, he is hot. I'm looking at this image of him, he's fucking yoked.
He's fucking sexy.
He's yoked.
Mm-hmm.
He's yoked. He got his big titties. He's got big toes.
Why'd you go for his toes? Why'd you
I
go?
don't know. I looked at his feet.
You got a feet thing?
No, I don't really.
Joe likes feet.
Wait,
What?
would it be a problem if I did?
Listen, we don't kink shame on this show.
We do.
Oh yeah, we
clearly
do. Then yeah, it would be a problem. Sorry,
Soren.
what brings you to KO? What brings this sexy robot to your attention?
I don't know. It's like I guess I have a thing for like characters without a face, where it's like kind of masked or like an LED setup, like
Yes.
Daft Punk or something. But like going into Valorant, KO was like one of my first mains, and like he's just so cool. Even his voice lines in the game are like like super cool, and his name literally stands for "kill all your opponents." I just
Wow.
think he's neat.
I just think he's neat.
Mhm.
I will say I agree with you with like I love the idea of like a faceless character. Or like one
Right.
without like expression or things like that. It just like expresses with their body more or their voice. I just like that's why in games, like in most games, I'm attracted to a character. I'm attracted to play and also to a character that is like armored up, where I don't see the features of their face. Like with Overwatch, I was always into Reinhardt because he was like a sexy daddy, but he also his armor looked so fucking cool and like the face thing. And this was the character I immediately think is hot. I'm about to go full killer robot. You've been warned. That is that an actual voice line this guy says?
Someone missed a software update.
Okay, okay. For our audience to understand what just happened, Joe is now just posting like voice lines that KO says, and I'm curious. Can you read out some of them for us?
Soren, do this with me.
Oh, okay.
He has beef with Reyna, apparently.
Yeah, because she's a radiant in that world, and so he's like programmed to kill her and stuff. And like she's done
So
she
wait,
does
he's programmed
girl
to be
boss war crimes.
he's programmed for racism?
Wait.
No, not racism, because like radiants are like they're
It's like an
kind of like
occupation, right?
yeah.
So he's classist.
Oh my, well
Yeah.
yeah, that's my king.
Oh my goodness. Another Reyna, I killed her in the war, I'll kill her again. That is incredible.
He's so badass.
He's so cool.
He's a war criminal.
Yeah. We fucking talked about dragons and like princes of hell, so I think we're good.
Well, no, there are limits. I'm willing to bang the Lord of Hell, but a war crime is a war crime. Why
Think
am I
about
the one that
Think
feels like
about
I
what
said
you
something
just
wrong
said.
here?
Think about what you just said.
I do.
Y'all hear something?
Y'all hear something? Anyway.
I think I guess the Geneva Convention gets thrown out every time we jump in a call for this, huh?
Yeah, of course.
Who the fuck needs the Geneva Convention?
So my thing,
Mhm.
I'm echoing everything that y'all are saying. I do love a Daft Punk looking ass dude. Especially, I mean, just thinking about Daft Punk's design in general, it's just like robot heads in the LED screen, and also just like a slick like outfit or like a really shapely body for whatever reason. KO is shaped like a whore. But in like the best way. And you gotta love a sarcastic, just like such a self-aware, like robot android sort of dude. Yeah, like what's not to love about this robot?
Well, okay. I'm trying to think of like a scenario where we'd be able to bang this robot.
Soren, do you have one in mind? Like, do you have like any fanfic fantasies that you have of KO?
I mean, I don't know. It's just like the faceplate and just like getting close to it, and his body is like made of like energy, so he's gonna be like all warm.
Oh, that's right. He's gonna electrocute your dick.
That is true. There is a line in the game where if you have a brimstone on your team, he says, "Brimstone, I'd hug you, but it would kill you. I'm serious, no hugs." So it would be kind of
So we've eliminated
risky.
We've eliminated physical intimacy right off the jump.
No,
I mean,
what's specifically up with Brimstone?
Oh, Brimstone's just a human.
So again, we've eliminated physical intimacy right off the jump.
Well, not necessarily.
Shocking is
Shocking's something.
Yeah,
for sure.
that is a kink somewhere.
And there are so many fucking monsters that we have chosen where absolutely you probably would die if you tried to be anywhere near them. We can make an accommodation here. We can figure it out.
Okay, let's make an accommodation.
Let's make an
accommodation. My brain can't. If we're No. Here's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to think of a scenario where even if like they turned off the energy part of it, like this is again, I'm bringing this for a reason. This is a war criminal. This is a war criminal whose purpose is to eliminate a job class of people. How are you Joe, tell me, Joe and Soren, I want you to walk me through how you each would try to how you would convince this robot. We're jumping into possibility. I want you to know we're jumping into the scale right now. Is how can each of you convince this robot to let you hit it?
Do you know how, Soren? Our minds linking together right now. It would be probably easier to please or pleasure him in some capacity, just thinking about like fucking cables going into his body or like going into like open circuitry or like wires or something like that. And I am thinking about the like LED screen on his face, like there would be probably clear communication about how he's feeling because he can just communicate with his face, and also he has a voice. It's fine.
And he could always like lower the energy or
Yeah.
like yeah.
He's also like actively killing people in Valorant. So who's not to say that he could just like chill out when he's not killing people?
Exactly. No. Well, okay. This does not make me feel better.
Okay.
But also, we have a lot about his physically. Okay, physically, he's hot. Personality-wise, all you've told me is this is a war criminal. This is an ROTC kid.
No,
You've described an ROTC kid.
We've said more than that.
Oh, I guess I can like talk more about his like personality as well. He kind of like he's on like good terms with like his teammates and stuff, and he'll like be like all sarcastic with them. But like I guess in general, he kind of like his ability is literally like suppressing enemies, and like he'll say that too in the game. And he like looks down on humans and like he calls them fragile. But
that's hot. We are.
Yeah, that's hot.
That's true.
Okay, that is hot because you can be his fragile little human bitch. I say that as I would also be his fragile little human bitch. I'd be like, "Coming, daddy," and I'd come follow him over. But if he looks down on humans, that lowers possibility even more. I'm going to just throw out a number from what with all the information you've given me. I'm throwing out a number 4. Actually, no, I'll raise it up. I'll give it a 5. I will give it a straight middle of the road 5.
That's not too dissimilar from what I was going to say, because he's like actively fighting with other humans is the thing. So it's not that he can't cooperate.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it's I don't know how far away it is from the 5. Like I want to say like between a 6 and 7 for whatever reason.
So we're doing 0.5s. You want to do 6.5?
Soren, what are you thinking? Like, is it in terms of like physicality and location and accessible, like being able to obtain him in any capacity? How possible are you feeling?
Well, he has like worked with humans and like like patch updates. Like
you can patch update the classism out of him.
No, I mean like it will hurt, but
that's fine.
I do think there is like if he can suppress his enemies, who's to say he can't suppress himself? And like,
well, who's to say he can't suppress you in bed? Ba-bam.
Suppress this dick.
Oh, suppress these nuts.
Suppress these nuts.
1 per episode.
Oh my god. But I will give it a 6 because it does seem like it'll be hard to find a workaround like his energy if it's assumed to like kill or like to hurt others when they're close. But I mean, yeah, just a 6.
I'll echo that. That makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. So 5, 6, 6. Attractionist 10 out of 10. 10 across the boards.
Like,
this is our 110, by the way, everyone.
Yeah.
This is our 110 that we're allowed to give.
One leg.
Like, the one thing about his design, like, it's so good, but those pants are so ugly. Like,
they are
like,
ugly
so
pants.
He's shirtless, I guess, or he's wearing like a vest, some sort of vest.
He's wearing straight up pants.
Yeah, it's pants, but I just know he's packing schmeat.
Schmeat.
I just know it.
Oh, wait a second. Look at this. You're giving me the pants design now? Oh, yeah, no, he 100% is packing schmeat down there.
Yeah,
you know the creator of KO was like,
juiciest I'm
going to make the fucking most meanest robot that'll fight our wars for us. I'm going to give him a fucking donger, too.
That one meme where it's like, you think I'd make a robot you can't fuck?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, he's 100% packing because he's wearing pants. Okay, this brings up the point. He's wearing pants, so because he's wearing pants, he knows he has to have modesty for something.
Exactly.
So he's either packing the thickest dong or the juiciest.
Juiciest pussy.
Thank you for finishing that. But yeah, I think that's actually the first 10 out of 10 for everybody. That's
Across the board.
Yeah, this is the first time we've ever had like a collective 10 out of 10. That's
You're
crazy.
welcome.
That's crazy.
Audacity. How audacious it is to be with this monster. I'm going to give this a 4. The reason being, it's normally I would say I would rank this higher, but there is a giant energy crystal in this chest that prevents you from getting close to him. And unless he finds a way to turn it off, because it's implied, but by this voice line you mentioned, it's implied that he doesn't know how to turn it off or lower it at all. That's the implication there. So
luckily, there is an agent on the team that like makes robots and stuff. Killjoy, I bet she can help.
Hey Killjoy, I'm trying to suck KO's dick. Do you mind like trying to turn down the energy? I'm trying to get his massive schmeater up in my business. You know what I'm saying?
Give me some sort of like linked false genital situation.
You want a linked fleshlight?
Yes, I think we all do. We all want that.
Honestly, yeah. Adam and Eve, get on it.
What did I thought you meant like a biblical Adam and Eve.
God,
like what the fuck did they do?
Adam and Eve, sponsor us, please.
You said 4.
4.
Yeah. 4 makes sense to me.
I'm giving this robot a 3. Yeah, just because like the energy is kind of hard to work around, and he also like he is a bit racist against humans, but I mean
that's what I thought. I'm glad we're all realizing this now. I'm glad that we're coming around.
I didn't know, but like I didn't think it was bad.
Again, I'm sorry. What?
Anyways, parental acceptance.
Listen, there is at least a fan out there that had slept with an actual racist. So who's better? Who's better? Who's better? Who's better? Parental acceptance. Is your Valorant mommy, daddy, caretaker people going to Valorant accept this Valorussi?
No, I don't think they will accept that Valorussi. Because again, I think it comes down to A, he doesn't approve of humans, and B, the energy thing. So I think my parents would have been cool with it if not for his own innate personality and physiology. So 2. I'll give this a 2 again. God
damn. I mean, that is pretty fair. I feel like I could pass him off as a human from very far away.
How does that work? How could give me that scenario?
Exclusively phone calls, no video, no anything. Just we're just gonna do, if we're ever on vacation, we're just gonna do this very like back-facing, turned around selfies where we're like looking at, I don't know, the Eiffel Tower or something.
It's just a lot of armor.
It's just a lot. It's just a big fucking guy, and I can just say that he's like in a profession that uses a lot of guns. We'll say that he's in the military or something, which is not usually my go-to, but we can make it work. That being said, it'd be a 4.
I also gave KO a 4 because, like, I mean, it is possible he's kind of there to like protect humans, but like kill the ones that are like kind of taking too much control. So,
and we love that.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, it is a robot.
And this entire episode is sort of.
I know, but my parents, yeah, I don't. This is a robot that will take care of me, you know.
I don't know. I don't know. I really don't.
I know.
And that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Let's pause for some math.
All right. After doing some quick maths, I got a 5.3. Soren, what did you get?
I got a 5.8.
And Joathy?
I got a 6.
All right. With that, all our scores added up, KO gets a 5.7, which, again, is above average. I think that collective 10 across the board really raised this up. But again, that picture of him with pants convinced me that he has a smeater. Joe is fucking dying.
It's so funny.
But I think that wraps up the Killer KO conversation. And now, Joe, you have a robot you want to bring to the table. Now, for everyone in our audience, I want to make this clear. Joe has not told either me or Soren what monster they're bringing to the table. We have no idea. They also have said that this will be a very quick conversation. So I'm worried as to what the context of that is, whether it's a collective yes, or I'm just going to say zeros across the board. I don't know.
I'm scared.
So Joe is cracking up. Joe is fucking cackling. So I'm scared. I think sorry, I'm scared as well.
I need, as we start this,
Oh,
I need the two of you to offer me guesses. Like one of each of you just give me a guess, and then I'll tell you if it's. I won't necessarily tell you it's right or wrong. I'm going to drop a video, and then we're all going to react to the video together. Okay.
What is this?
Me,
what
me
visual PowerPoint are you doing?
Give me your guesses. Just one each.
R2D2.
First?
Oh no, sorry. Go. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say the grandma robot with the big dump truck from Robots.
honestly, that's a video. That's a movie full of robots, so that is very fair.
Honestly, she's a hotter. I would give her a 10 out of 10.
She's a hottie.
She's a hottie. Yeah. And my guess it will stay R2D2.
Okay. So I'm not going to tell you if either of those is right or wrong. What I am going to do is drop the link now.
Okay. Again, audience, we don't know. This is not a bit. We genuinely don't know what's happening right now.
All right. Are you ready?
No, clearly not.
Are you ready? Say yes.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm opening this link now.
Oh my god.
It's loading. There's a lot. I knew it. I've been talking. I knew it. My computer is. I knew it.
Oh
I knew
God.
it. I want to talk about this because I talked to Joe before this recording. I talked to Joe. I was like, I was thinking of bringing this monster to the this robot to the table. And Joe was like, I don't know. I wouldn't really talk about that one. And you want to know what robot Joe brought to the table? It probably came through on my mic, but it's fucking C-3PO. Joe brought C-3PO to the table.
So, two things. Multiple things, honestly. First thing. So
Zero.
we all brought in extremely prolific robots from three major sort of franchises. We got Mass Effect, we got Valorant, and someone had to say Star Wars. Because you didn't bring Transformers, Cleric. You pussied out and decided not to do Transformers. I'm just kidding.
All Transformers are hot. We're going to have a Transformers-specific episode.
Transformers, all hot. This being said, I don't know a goddamn single thing about Star Wars. I know that there's a Baby Yoda that's actually like 60 years old. I know that there was a sweet video about a Polynesian man receiving a hand-carved Mandalorian helmet. Super cool. Love that. I want to paint a picture for the both of you and to the audience as well. Imagine that you are 10 to 12 years old. You're watching Cartoon Network. Great Lyle is Padme and Matt Lucas is Anakin. Very sexy voices. The entire Clone Wars animated show, 2003, entirely too sexual. Anakin and Padme go into a dark alley. They make out. Like, it's like audible kissing sounds. You're 10 to 12 years old. You're like, oh my god, I should be watching this. And then, on top of just like being attracted to both of those voices and people kissing, C-3PO comes into the alley with like beautiful golden plating, new golden plating, and then the both of them are like, you are looking particularly more sexy, C-3PO, and C-3PO is just like, well, I gotta look good for where we're about to go, and then Anakin's just like, take your fucking clothes off, let me see your fucking gold pussy. And then this is verbatim by the way, and then C-3PO has this incredibly mind-opening gender fluid non-binary like awakening where he takes the cloak off and it's just entirely shining gold plating and no dick just beautiful shining gold. And that memory has stuck with me since that last decade. Every other day I think about this scene. Again, I don't know anything about Star Wars. All I know is that scene.
Joe.
So anyway,
Joe.
Yeah, what's up? What's up, Kurt?
We're friends, right?
No.
Good. Just so I don't have to feel hesitant when I say this. I fucking hate that you showed me this. I fucking hate this with the conversation we're having. C-3PO is the least sexiest character. So 3CPO ranks C-3PO ranks below Jabba the Hutt in
have
sexiness.
You not? Well, I disagree. That's not true.
That's absolutely 100%. How would you know? You haven't seen Star Wars.
I know who Jabba the fucking Hutt is.
How would you know?
C-3PO in that scene with the beautiful, sexy jazz music. It's perfect. It's beautiful. It's art. I didn't even fucking do my sexy description, so hang on.
we don't have to do this anymore. You've set this up enough.
Okay, yeah, actually, you're completely right. I mean, we could just jump right into the scale.
Oh,
you can't give zeros.
I don't care.
You can only give one. So
one for everything.
Your first, you can't do that either.
I don't care.
Okay, great. I'm just gonna relinquish access for the scoring sheet.
Absolutely bonkers. All right, let's jump into this. Soren, how do you feel? I feel like I've just been shocked here.
I mean, I do agree that the gold plating and that scene in particular, like the animators knew what they were doing. It's not impossible.
Okay. I'll take this episode seriously. So like
Will you finally?
Possibility. C-3PO fucking sucks. He's honestly always on the Millennium Falcon. He's part of the rebellion. He's like this bookish fucking nerd. He probably
he's fussy. He's worrisome.
He's worrisome. He's a fucking loser. He probably looks at mayonnaise and thinks it's spicy too.
He can't eat, but okay.
He looks at the concept of mayonnaise and thinks it's spicy. He looks at books and he's afraid he's gonna open and get a paper cut. He fucking smells like a fucking varnish store. I don't care too.
Okay. Cool. He can speak. Hang on one second.
He can speak a lot of languages. I will say that he's a translation droid.
He's a translation droid. He is fluent over 6 million forms of communication.
Holy shit!
So that possibility already goes up like so much. Obviously, it's not going to be the most possible. It's not going to be the most possible just because of certain fucking standards. It's Star Wars. Who knows? Again, it's like the space farer thing. Who knows? However, it's an 8 because he's not a fighting droid necessarily. I know he did end up accidentally stumbling into a fight. But he's literally like, what is it? A programming officer? Like he's just like a dude. He's a commercial cargo motherfucker with a golden juicy pussy. So
I hate this. I regret this show every day.
This is a golden male wife.
Exactly.
Like, true, he will be really, I guess, cautious about like going into it. But I think with enough gentle reassurance, I do think that it is possible.
I'm gonna be so clear. He's annoying as fuck. He's so annoying. However,
all right, with what you're saying, I will raise up my score.
Oh,
okay.
From a 2 to a 3.
Oh.
Excellent.
Or you know what? I'll be even fair. I'll give it a 4. I will give it a 4.
Excellent.
Wow.
Excellent.
Attractiveness 1.
9.
5?
9.
Oh.
9. Who wants to go first? The spectrum that we have going on.
Soren, what number do you want to give? Let's go with that first.
For attractiveness?
For attractiveness.
Yeah, 5. Because the gold plating is really hot, really sexy. It's just the face. Like I don't think I can deal with that face. It's very like beady, and it's just like eyes that are unblinking. I don't know. I can't deal with the face, I don't think. But everything else, is trophy wife.
Okay. Joe.
Cleric.
Donkey.
Cleric.
Why do you want to give C-3PO a 9?
I want that golden android robot pussy. Just put a pussy on C-3PO, and then it's perfect. He's great. He's a trophy wife. He's annoying as fuck, but then you fuck him, and then he's, he just shuts the fuck up. And that's great. You do have to love, not necessarily like a rivalry with him, but very much this kind of like love-hate situation of like, oh, we're in like, in whatever fucking context, like in Mass Effect, we're all spacefaring. We experience death. If we are all spacefarers, if Star Wars was Cleric, Joe, and Soren, and C-3PO, and that's it, I guess. I am going to be flirting with that hot piece of shit all the time. And he is probably the most animated, personable robot so far that we have going on. I mean, KO arguably is like also very personable, but C-3PO has such a full range of emotions that Anakin just made in the desert with his mom or something. That might be wrong, but he's a feat. He's an incredible communication based creature, and I want that. I want that Russie, robust.
The robust.
Do you have any other questions?
No.
Okay, great. You said one. Understandable. No problem.
The quiet resignation from Cleric. The acceptance.
This is the best episode.
I want this episode to end.
Audacity.
What do you? Before I say my answer, Soren, what are you gonna put? What number do you want to give?
Well, I'm not too familiar with Star Wars. Like, the most experience I've had is playing the Lego Star Wars games for the Xbox, but, are robot-human relationships, like, a common?
Not really. I will say, in what I know of Star Wars, like, in the main Star Wars shows that I've seen, because I used to watch... I'm caught up in all the Star Wars, like, movies, and I watched all the Clone Wars, and things of that sort, but I'm not... of like this, there's a whole big larger universe out there that I don't care about. I haven't, off the top of my head, I don't think so.
I think I would give it a 5. I think I would give C-3PO a 5. Because human robot relationships aren't common, I think, but the animators knew what they were doing with that scene alone.
They were. Also, Cleric, you were wrong. Did you ever watch Solo?
Yeah, I don't remember. I watched it in like once and then tuned it out because it wasn't that good.
There is a droid-human emotional love affair.
In one with who in that movie?
Fucking Lando.
Oh, Lando. Oh yeah, Lando fucks.
Hold on, I'm putting it to a 6 now. Wait. Yeah, I don't think it's that audacious.
It's not.
Like, everyone else might be like, oh, it's because, oh, he's so fussy. Why do you want to get with him? But I think it's possible.
Once you get in that pussy, anything's possible. It's an 8. What are you doing? You can't even put 2.
3.
That's not correct, but whatever.
It's not okay. It's not just like whether or not you can finger blast this fucking robot. It's about like his personality and how audacious it is to get with him personally. First of all, like, he is the right hand to the rebel leaders of like the Star Wars universe. He's also, again, very fuzzy. He doesn't view, like, I don't think he would ever view that. You would have to really, really, really work towards flirting with this robot, which he probably would not appreciate any advances, honestly. I wouldn't, if you told me that robot was asexual, I'd believe you. If that was just like, that was the sexuality that the robot chose. I just don't feel like the C-3PO that I know in my heart from the shows is not banging in. I need you to know, I want everyone to realize what's happened here. Joe has once again done it where they have sucked all the energy out of my body. Like, as a fucking vampire.
Kitsune.
Kitsune. I don't even know what to fucking say anymore.
Okay, so 3. If my ass is on the rebel side of whatever the fuck, I'm gonna compliment C-3PO every day. I'm gonna say how great he looks. It's an 8. Parental acceptance, it's an 8.
How?
It is a well-studied man. He is, at the very least, KO is like 10 feet tall. C-3PO is like at a human height. He's made with every intention to be able to communicate with anyone. Someone that is even able to translate and maybe even help me learn Korean so that my parents love me a little bit more. I think it's fairly possible. We would still have to go through this whole thing where I have to get my parents to just never look at his face.
It's like you're bringing home in a calculator. It's like you're just like, hey, this is what I use. This is my calculator that helps me do math. I also stick my dick in it sometimes. It's like, what?
I mean, honestly, if I had a relationship with C-3PO in college when I was failing math 3 times, my parents would be like, fucking finally, you have someone that can actually help you.
I'm just gonna give this a 5 and move on. I'm just
Okay.
Soren, what do you think?
I gave him a 7. Because he's comparably better in terms of the Geth than KO. This is a robot that would tell your parents, "I'll have them home by 9 p.m."
You're right. You're absolutely right. It's a robot that would say, "Good morning, sir. I'll have them home by 5 a.m. By
5 a.m.
5 p.m.
Whoa.
No, not even that. I'll have them home by 5 p.m. It's like it's 3 o'clock. It's only 2 hours. Like, don't worry. I'll have them home by 4:30. 30 minutes before, and we will be inside your door. Don't worry. There will be we are going to be using this pole, and we will stay 10 feet apart, and we'll be talking through walkie-talkie."
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry, sir. That's the C-3PO I know. The C-3PO I know is the definition of cuck.
And then we tell our parents that, and then we fuck the shit out of C-3PO, and then we can cuck C-3PO because that'd be fine.
Okay, now I'm feeling bad for C-3PO because you're cucking in front of him.
You are cucking him?
Why are you cucking? Why are you cucking C-3PO? I'm done with this conversation.
I'm not saying why is cucking a bad thing. Polyamory, compersion.
Our overall scores.
So for our overall scores for C-3PO, which stands for cock 3 pussy orgasm.
That's not what it stands for. You know it's not
Cleric,
what it stands for.
Claire got a 3.3 wrong. I got an 8.3, and Soren got a 6. So that leaves our overall score for C-3PO 5.9. Altogether, for the entire episode, thank you, Soren, so much for being here. Going down the list, 3rd place, Clerics the Geth. We have a 4.4 for KO. That is a 5.7. Again, that was Soren's pick. And then for me, the winner of this episode is C-3PO with a 5.9.
Cleric, how did we let this happen?
I want to say I didn't let this happen.
Oh.
I don't let things happen on this show. Things just happen around me. I'm like, what happens is, for everyone to pull back the curtain, I hit the record. I'm like, everybody, let's meet at this time. I hit the record button, and then everything after that is a fever dream. I have no idea. I have no recollection of what happens.
That'd be great.
I will say, first of all, I want to say this episode has been a lot of fun. Soren, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything that you would like to shout out? Any closing thoughts you'd like to give?
I'm really glad you guys had me for the episode. It was so much fun. And, not anything to shout out. I am just glad to share my love for robots and embracing the robotic furry, my worry side, you could say. Thank you for having me.
We love to have you. Joe, what are your closing thoughts?
Robussy.
And for me, my closing thoughts here, you know, I sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some, and sometimes we have to get ready to bow down real low and lick the feet of our robot oppressors. AI will eventually take us, so we must be ready to take it to the bedroom. All right, everybody, have a good day, and make sure to kiss your Alexa.
Oh.
All right.
Turn that shit off, actually. Privacy is not a thing anymore. We're always being surveilled.
Lick your Alexa. Give it a little smooch. Give your little robotic kiss here. Smooch.
Alexa, stop having a
Give it a smooch.
smartphone.
Give it a smooch.
And bye.
Bye.